Dalvin Cook may have to do the same. The question becomes, moving forward, if the Vikings' attitude is, look, we've made our offer, it is what it is, and you either continue to play under the final year of your rookie deal or you take what we have on the table, will he be inclined to hold himself out of games if he's banged up? Running backs are always banged up. And this is where we get into that realm of, can you still play? Yes, but you don't have long-term security, so that incremental risk of a serious injury that happens when you play with an injury, he's not willing to accept that.
Yeah.
That may be something the Vikings have to deal with this year. So we may see some weeks, potentially, where it's the Alexander Mattison show, which gives the Vikings a chance to make the decision, you know what? We got this guy under contract through 2022. We'll just stick with Mattison if it comes down to it next year. So it's a dangerous game if Cook plays it.
I think
because
so.
he's giving his backup a chance to show what he can do, and maybe he can do as much or more than Dalvin Cook.
No doubt about it, especially with the run-centric approach that Zimmer and Kubiak want to take. And I would think that's part of the reason why Cook's there, Mike. I think he realizes he's smart enough to go, damn, that guy behind me is really damn good. He rips off 1,300 yards in a year where I'm not there. That's not going to be good for my reputation. So Dalvin Cook is in a different position than some of the other running backs we've seen in this position over the last few years, where, Le'Veon Bell, that situation. Hey, there was nobody else in Pittsburgh. He was the guy. So, yeah, he held out and whatever else, but he was the guy. He had the team. He had their feet over the fire. Ezekiel Elliott. We were last year going, damn, they don't sign Ezekiel Elliott. Who the hell are they going to play at running back? I mean, they're going to play this rookie, so it got to that. Derrick Henry, it's a similar situation. That's not the situation in Minnesota, and that hurts Dalvin Cook, and I don't like to say that, but I do think it forces his hand a little bit to have to play because of the talent of the guy that's there next to him. So, hopefully in his way, he could just be happy to share carries this year and do things like that and not totally crush his body with 300-plus carries or something, to where he can still be fresh and have a career into his second contract and capitalize off that, because he is grossly underpaid right now for, the class of running back he's in. You could argue he's better than Le'Veon Bell right now, right? Le'Veon Bell making that money. David Johnson, you're going to argue he's definitely better than David Johnson as we sit here right now. So there's a class of guys in front of him where he's looking at and going, damn, that's screwed up. I'm better than them, and I'd like to get paid, but I don't think it's going to happen here.
Both, however, are cautionary tales for the Vikings. David Johnson got the contract that tied the Cardinals' hands to the point where they weren't going to be able to get rid of him. He had a $10 million guaranteed salary this year. The guarantee vested last year. Their hands were tied. The fact that they were able to get any value for him as part of that DeAndre Hopkins trade is amazing. And the Le'Veon Bell contract, I mean, the Jets wouldn't do that again if they had a chance to do it again.
They would not.
Adam Gase didn't want to do it in the first place.
Right, we know that.
They got conned to a certain extent, and I'm not saying that in a pejorative way. They allowed themselves to think that the Ravens were at the table with a similar offer, and they weren't.
Yes.
They were not. And the Jets got squeezed into paying Le'Veon Bell $12 million plus per year. And I think both teams, Cardinals with Johnson, Jets with Bell, have remorse for that after the fact. And I think the Vikings don't want to be in that spot. That's the problem. That's the challenge. And when you look at what Melvin Gordon got when he finally reached the open market, Chris, the reality is your best chance to get big money as a running back is with the team that you already were playing for.
Yes.
It's hard to get it on the open market because these other teams don't want to be the next team where everyone's saying, I told you so.
Right.
And it seems like with most of these running back contracts, we're just, 7, 8, 9, 10 months away from saying, I told you so.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. And with Alexander Mattison there, who had more yards per carry last season than Dalvin Cook, and I know that that's not necessarily indicative of overall running back worth.
Right.
Value,
but it shows his potential to what you're saying,
And there it is. There it is. 4.6 yards per carry for Alexander Mattison, 4.5 for Dalvin Cook. And look, Dalvin Cook had 37 receiving yards per game. Mattison only had 6.3 receiving yards per game. But it's that Kubiak style that went from Terrell Davis to Orlando Scary to Mike Anderson, 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards. Just one guy goes down, put another guy in. And this is the reality of the position. The supply far outweighs the demands. I remember coming to this conclusion 15 years ago watching the West Virginia games every week. We'd go to the home games, and every year there's a guy who generates 13, 14, 1,500 rushing yards for West Virginia, and he looks the part. He could play in the NFL. He's got the build. He's got the speed. He's got the toughness. He's got everything you need. And every major college has a guy like that every year. And there's only 32 NFL teams.
Yeah, that's
and a lot of the teams already have their starting running backs. So there's plenty of guys that can do that job. And what happens is we get caught up in the name. We get caught up in the fantasy numbers. We get caught up in the touchdowns. We get caught up in the fame that goes along with the guy having 137 yards, rushing and 2 touchdowns on a Sunday night. And and there's another guy on the roster who could do the same damn thing. And there's a guy out there available on the street who could do the same damn thing. And I don't mean to take anything away from the skill set, but the reality is there's a lot of guys that can do that.
Yeah, there is.
And sometimes in a business like the NFL, you have to acknowledge it and you have to just go with it. And that's what the Vikings seem to be doing in attaching a price to Dalvin Cook. We are going to draft, as I said.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to ask you, like, if you're a running back, you're in Dalvin Cook's situation, right? It's something I've thought about before, right? And here you are. Yeah, we know you're getting there to the point of your career where, a little wear and tear on your tires, but you're also getting close to finally making some real money, life-changing, family-changing type money. If you're him, would you rather go, you know what? Like, hey, Minnesota, just give me the ball this year and let me have a ton of, touches and let me see if I can be the rushing leader and really put the squeeze on somebody out there in free agency or Minnesota to where you have to pay me? Or would you go, hey, Minnesota, Coach Zimmer, I'd like to split the carries more with, Alexander Madison this year. Just take a little wear and tear off. I think it might give me another year or two in my career to where I can collect some money there and that way. And instead of, him having 250 carries like last year and Madison having 100, maybe they meet somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? At 150 or 175 or something around there. I just find it curious. What would your approach be?
Well, I think given his history.
Yeah.
Torn ACL,
right.
Week 4 of his rookie season.
Not a real big guy.
Injury issues in his second year. Right. Last year was the first year he really arrived on the scene in the NFL, and he had 1,100 rushing yards. Good, but not spectacular. I would want to emulate Derrick Henry from last year.
And go for it. Yeah. Okay.
And go for it.
Yeah.
And go for it.
Right.
Because look, Derrick Henry had to become the NFL rushing leader, and it still took months to get the contract that he had earned by doing so. Because the thing is, running backs are always getting paid for what they've done.
Yes.
They rarely get paid for what they're going to do. When have we ever seen, except for Jerick McKinnon? Jerick McKinnon is the one guy who got paid for what the 49ers thought he was going to do.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yeah,
he still
hurt.
hasn't played in a game for the 49ers because he injured his knee in a practice a week before the start of the 2018 season, and then they had to do it all over again with the ACL last year because it just didn't heal right. He's the one guy. Remember when they paid him? We were like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Jerick McKinnon's never done anything. He got paid on the way up. Most of these guys get paid on the plateau or the way down. But that's what Derrick Henry was able to do, and I think if I'm Dalvin Cook, I say I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to force these people to pay me. I'm going to prevent them from letting me walk away.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.